Well, hi everyone. Thank you for coming here. I am going to give a. You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, so here I'm going to give a lightning talk about how I use Neo4j to connect healthcare using open data. So before we start our talk today, here's information about myself. I am Yaqi Shi. I currently study health informatics at University of San Francisco. And I also have a bachelor degree in medicine from China. I am very lucky to finish my internship with Neo4j during the summer, and I have this great opportunity to working on the project Health Graph, which I'm going to present right now. So this is the agenda for today. First, I'm going to talk about the data modeling. Second, I'm going to talk about the challenges that I met and how I solved the challenges when I was trying to integrate the data from different sources. And lastly, I'm going to give a quick lab demo about what you can do with the health graph. Before we start, I'd like to mention that all the codes are hosted on GitHub, and feel free to grab any information you think that's helpful for you. I also published a blog post series where I document the detail about the project development. So I think that may be interesting to you also. So I'd like to ask, why healthcare? Why did I choose to do healthcare? Because when I first started my master program at USF, I was surprised by how different the healthcare in the United States works rather than how it works in China. And there are a lot of different stakeholders, there are different regulation policies. I was simply overwhelmed by the differences. Here I list a few stakeholders in the United States, such as providers, patients, pharmaceutical companies, medical device vendors, payers, and policymakers. And the list can go on for sure. I also realized around each different stakeholders, there are a lot of data being generated every day. So I was interested not only to understand how does the healthcare industry work, but also I want to integrate the data and to be able to query some interesting information from the data available out there. But in order to do that, I found there are a few challenges for me. First off, there are many different roles in healthcare. Second off, how do they relate to each other is totally complicated. And also there are a lot of data. So in April this year, I was introduced to Neo4j, and you can imagine how excited I was about the technology, because Neo4j allows me to visualize the relations between different healthcare stakeholders, and also that handles data integration. So moving on next, after I did a lot of research on how do they relate to each other, I come up with a quick map that I just draw on a whiteboard. And this is the first version of the model of the health graph. Here, let me just walk you through real quick. Start from, sorry, you have a question? So start from the node provider, who writes a prescription that prescribe a drug. The drug has generic component in it. A drug firm will brand a drug, and a drug firm will probably also sign some disclosure with a lobby firm company. The disclosure would have different kind of issues around healthcare or Medicare. Those issues are being lobbied by lobbyists. The lobbyists will also make some contribution, which goes to different committees, and the committee will found a legislator. Also, the legislator has some information about themselves, such as which states do they present, which party do they belongs to, and which body do they elected to. So this is the model of the health graph, and this is what information you can query. So after having the data model, I moved on to looking for the data sources. This is the list of the data that I integrated into my health graph. As you could see that there are different sources also that covers different type of data. One of the challenges for me when I was doing the data integration is to working on those open data sources. If you have any experience working with open source data, you would probably know that they are not the most cleaning data ever. And also because they're from different sources and they are free, usually you don't have a unique identifier or foreign key to connect them. So that's the challenges I'm trying to do here, is to connect those gray area, the relations. So I have two solutions for that. The first one is to use public APIs. What I'm trying to do here is to connect the node prescription with the node drug. I store generic name under the nodes here. You probably have heard of RxNorm, which is part of the United States Medical Library, which provides a unique identifiers for clinical drugs. So I am sending the generic name in both prescription and drug to RxNorm. That gets me a unique identifier, RxCUI. So, and also I store the RxCUI's properties under prescription. I also create an intermediate node here called generic drug, which has the same generic name with the drug generic name here, and store the RxCUI there as well. So now I can connect this RxCUI, I can connect these three nodes together based on the RxCUI and the generic name here. The second solution is fuzzy-wuzzy string matching. So what I'm trying to do here is I would like to connect the node client with the node drug firm, based on the theory that if the company's name looks like similar to each other, I will create a relations. The library that I use is in Python called fuzzy-wuzzy, which returns me the matching score between two strings. And here I have an example here. As you could see that I have two strings right here. The second string is a substring of the first one. So calling the first function partial ratio, which returns me a score of 100, and calling the ratio function, that returns me a score of 65. Obviously, no one can identify they are the same string or same company, right? So I decided to choose the cutoff value of 70, because most of the company's name looks similar if they have a score over 70. So I create a relationship if the scores is above 70 for those nodes. All right, that's how I integrate the data. And now let's take a look at the health graph. One thing I like to mention here is when I create a relationship between the client and drug firm, I store the racial scores inside the relations as property, so that when you query the information, here I query the information, returns me the company's name and the racial scores, so that I can say that how confident I am about my queries. So here you can see the order is ascending order, so you can see the lowest partial score is 97 and the lowest racial score is 70, and they're pretty reliable to me. Okay, now let me show you some interesting queries. The first one I would like to show is, I'm wondering if this is too small. I would like to find out which lobbyists involved in lobbying Medicaid and Medicare issue in 2013, and how much contribution do they make to and who received those money. So this is the result of my query. For example, this guy here, David Kozak, he made a $100 contribution on September 23rd, 2013 to Congressperson Larson. And he also made different amount of money to different people. Next, I'd like to find out the relations between a client with legislators. Here I use the example of Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacture of America, because they are one of the biggest pharmaceutical company here. So let's find out what relations do they have with legislators. All right. So this returns me this graph. Let's zoom out a little bit. The red node here is the client, the organization, who signed up a disclosure in 2013, which has a Medicare-related issue that is lobbied by this lobbyist called Drew. In the same year, the Drew made several contributions, which is labeled as purple node here, to different committee, those green node here, and those money goes to different legislators through those committees. So I think this might not be the most exciting queries because I'm using free data. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is you could totally use Neo4j if you have more resources and to build your data as whatever you want, and you can get more interesting queries. And here is also a perfect example that how you can visualize your data, just like that simple. Okay, now I'd like to query some information about the drugs. Let's find out what is the most prescribed drug in 2013. Here is the result list. So, I'm sorry, I can't really say the medical word here, but this guy trades hypothyroidism. Does it make sense to you guys? And this drug is being prescribed more than 38 million times within 1 year. Lastly, I would like to find out which physicians prescribed the control drug the most often in the year 2013. Okay, here I didn't return the physician's name, but I have the physician national identifier ID here, so you can look him up. This guy prescribed the drug, which turned out to be a opiate pain medication, in 2013 over 2 million times. All right, this is the demo for the health graph, and I'm sure that if you have the data that you are interested, you probably will run into the same issue that I did, such as how you integrate your data, such as how you do the data modeling. But here I'm presenting today just to give you guys an idea how you can use Neo4j to handle the industry that you are interested. Oops. All right, any questions here?
How many nodes in the relationships do you have?
Good question. Let's find it out. I have it stored somewhere here. Oh, here. I guess that you can find it out from the interface of the Neo4j because they have some managing system that can tell you how many relations you have, how many types of relations you have, and how many nodes you have. Here I can tell that is 21 gigabytes large.
Play on sysinfo right where your mouse is.
Where is it?
Bottom. Scroll down in that menu on the side.
This one?
The one you were just on where it showed the gigabytes.
Oh.
And that should tell you.
Oh. This one?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Have any other questions?
Can you talk about the process of gathering the data? Did you find the corpus? Did you assemble it?
The process of gathering data of what? The process, sorry, can you say?
Of the health data that you're showing, all these relationships.
Okay, so the first thing that I did is, because I didn't really understand the healthcare industry, I don't know how many stakeholders are here, so the first thing I did is Wikipedia and read a lot of articles. How do they relate to each other? How does the legislator system works? And then I have a general idea, so that's how I quickly draw the map on the board. And then I'm looking for what are the data are available online. So most of the data that I have are I have the list here. Most of the data that I have are in CSV type. Some of them are TXT that are pretty similar. Most lobbying-related data are in XML, and I transform the data all using the APOC procedures. And also, if you pay attention, actually, the initial model also covers the clinical side, like patients visit a doctor and what symptoms, what labs information. I didn't include in this part of information because I think that's more clinical related, and I first want to focus on the public health care first. So after I have this model, I just go to the major sites such as CMS, FDA sites to query to see if there are any information are available. Unfortunately, the prescription data that I have here, drug prescription data, is only available for the year of 2013. So I decided to pull all the other data around 2013. Yep. Okay, thank you guys. If you guys have any questions, I have my information right here. Just give me an email. Yep.